Hello, everyone, and thanks for coming to our webinar. We're happy to see so many people come and look at how we're going to talk about the Autel Enterprise drone series. My name is Greg King, and I'm one of the enterprise account managers here at Multicopter. I handle the public sector and the inspection division for the East, and I'm joined by rcarter, who's our public service and inspection specialist, and Ryan covers the West. And before we begin, I'd like to say two minutes worth of about Multicopter Warehouse. We're an enterprise level DJI and Autel distributor. We're based out of the Denver area. We have account managers for both the public safety and the inspection, such as Ryan and I. And then we also have account managers for the mapping, surveying, and LiDAR divisions. And we also have two technicians. We're one of the few authorized DJI repair centers in the country. And we have account managers that are available from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. And we have technicians that are available from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. So if you already do business with us, we appreciate it. And if you don't, we'd love to be able to try to earn your trust, and we'd like you to give us a shout next time you have a need. So with that, we'll go ahead and start our seminar. So Ryan, before we get into the drones and specifics and uses and different accessories and things, tell us a little bit about some of the things that people tell us they really like about Autel in general, some of the big things that don't really apply to specific drones.
Yeah, so with the Autel EVO II, or really Autel drones in general, one of the biggest things that people like about it is the fact that it does not have geofencing. So with the DJI drones, they will have the geofencing built in. Now, being a huge drone manufacturer like DJI, it's not a bad thing that they do it, but it definitely hurts the people that are following the rules, doing everything the right way, and just want to be able to get up in the air when they need to. So with the DJI drones, you can go through the unlock process of being able to fly in the authorization zones or warning zones, but it does pose a huge problem when used in the restricted zones. Now, they do have the qualified entities program on the DJI side, where if you are using it for public safety, then you can get it unlocked. But outside of that, if you're doing inspections or any other drone work where you need to be able to fly in a restricted or authorization zone, the fact that these don't have that built in is a huge benefit for that. And one thing they do plan on integrating into their platform is the LANC authorization, the low altitude or the low altitude authorization for when you're flying in a no-fly zone. So it does set you up to be able to follow all the rules and do everything the right way, but it's not going to give you the headache of not being able to get off the ground. One of the other big things about the EVO II series is the fact that the payloads are interchangeable. Now, it's not going to be a plug and play like we see with like the Matrice series on the DJI side, where it has the Skyport and it's an easy, twist and pop and you're ready to go. It is about a 10 to 15 minute install to change out the camera on it, but it does allow for people to kind of get into a more entry level, maybe the Enterprise 6K model, before then upgrading to a thermal without having to buy a whole new drone. So you'd be able to actually just grab the payload, install it, and you'd have that same 640T or 640R upgrade that's available with that. The orange color definitely is something that people point out quite a bit, just being able to see it a little bit better in the sky as well. And just the longer flight time than we see with some of the enterprise models with DJI, where it's going to be around a 41-minute flight time, compared to around a 30-minute average on the DJI side.
Well, and following up on that, these are kind of the highlights or kind of the noteworthy things in this class of drone. And we are talking about their enterprise drones, and it's really just one drone, and then you can buy it with the different payloads. So we'll be talking about 3 different drones, but they're actually the same drone and same features, just the different payloads. And one of the biggest things is the first thing on this list, and that's the 42 minutes. Because in a class drone like this, that is a lot more time, And it does a couple of things. And not only does it allow you to fly more, but when you start talking about adding other payloads like speakers and lights and some of the things we're going to talk about, or drop kits, those kind of things where you cut down on time, you'll still get a suitable amount of time even with some of those heavier items because you're starting off with so much time. And then of course it has all the encryption, the latest ADS. Another big thing is the transmission. It'll go up to 8 miles. And even though you're not going to be flying at 8 miles, it just means that that transmitter and the reception on the drone are so powerful that if you're in a situation where you may have to fly and then go down and you have trees separating you and the drone, that you're just going to have very, very good transmission because it's sending out such a strong signal. And then of course it has a nice digital zoom. And then being an enterprise level drone, then it's also modular as far as those accessories that I just mentioned. And we'll look at some of those accessories in the next slide, or the slide up to this. And then the other thing about Autel, they make their enterprise drones, and then they make a similar drone that looks identical, that is their rugged bundle drones. And they will carry the same payloads, and they're less expensive. But what makes this drone, the enterprise drone, and what gives it that 42-minute time and different things is that the aircraft is actually a little bit different. It does have longer propellers, so it has more lift. It has carbon fiber arms, which make it a lot stronger, but also reduces the weight, so it gets more flight time. And then it has bigger motors than the rugged bundle cameras. So even though those cameras have the same payloads, they don't have these benefits, and this is what makes these the enterprise drones. And then the accessories that Autel makes, and of course there's people that make, third-party people that make accessories for them. But for public safety and for inspection, they make a spotlight. And this spotlight is a little bit wider than the DJI spotlight. And from our testing, I swore it was more powerful, but it does have the same specifications. But when we did our testing, it seemed a little bit brighter.
I think also because of the wider field of view, makes it kind of seem a little bit brighter.
Yeah, that could be it.
And just kind of having that whole flood spotlight rather than more of a narrower field of view with the DJI one.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then the spotlight does have a tilt. So if you're doing some kind of inspection at night and you need it to be straight ahead looking, you can. And if you're doing something where you're looking at something on the ground, then you can tilt it down. And then you have the loudspeaker. And the loudspeaker is about 20% louder than DJI's, and that's going to by the specs and also in trial use. They're very loud speakers, and you can speak live, and you can also have a recording that you can keep playing, and you can also do text. And then it has a strobe that meets all the requirements for the FAA for flying at night with the 3-mile visibility. And then it doesn't come in the enterprise kit, but you can get an RTK module for doing mapping. And even though this will do some mapping and depending, especially like crime scene mapping or accident mapping, it's really, if you're looking for a true mapping drone, then this isn't the drone to purchase. And then Ryan, why don't you go into the drones a little bit more?
Yeah, so the first one that we'll talk about is the Enterprise Pro. So this one is going to have a 1-inch CMOS sensor, 20 megapixel, and this one's going to give you kind of the best overall visible picture. So you're going to have the up to 16 times digital zoom, which will it is going to lose quality as it zooms in, as it will with any digital zoom, but you'll see that with the 1-inch sensor, it's going to still keep the high level of resolution there compared to the 1/2-inch sensors, which are going to be on the 640T and 640R. But as kind of Greg mentioned, you can use this for photogrammetry. Now, since it does have a digital shutter rather than a mechanical shutter, then that's kind of the one flaw with this being a photogrammetry design platform. So definitely for the crime scene accident reconstruction, it's going to be plenty good for that. For the survey mapping guys, I probably wouldn't recommend this platform. I mean, it's it's not terrible, but it's definitely not geared directly towards that. And then also for the nighttime shooting, having the bigger sensor is going to allow for you to kind of take in a lot more light, giving you just a better image at night compared to the half-inch sensors when used in a nighttime setting. And then the Enterprise Dual R, so this one is going to be the radiometric. So this does have a FLIR boson sensor, 640, 512. It will give you the different color palettes. It will have the isotherm feature where you would be able to set that custom temperature range of what you're looking for. So when used in a public safety setting, a lot of times you would do the searching for people, searching for fire, and kind of customize that range so it highlights those subjects a little bit better. And then when used in an inspection setting, if you had something where, you know, if there's a certain module that needs to stay below a certain temperature or within spec, then you're easily able to set that up to highlight those areas. And then what makes this radiometric a little bit different than the standard thermal is the fact that with the FLIR boson, it will give you temperature data within the pixels of each photo taken. So when used, it's typically used in an inspection setting where you can actually send this out on a mission flight and bring the data back to your computer and throw it through the thermal processing to be able to determine the different temperatures on the different spots that you've taken in your photos. So I would say that the radiometric is really good when used, like I said, in the post processing. The image in real time is going to be almost identical as what we'll see with the 640T, but having the ability to get very accurate temperature readings after the fact is kind of what separates this from this next one here. And then, as I kind of mentioned, the different color modes. This is going to be the one platform that has the Made in the USA stamp of approval, with the camera coming from FLIR, which is made in the United States. And I think it was late last year that they actually got the Made in the USA stamp of approval, which sometimes for the public safety guys, they do need something made in the United States, mostly on the federal level, but sometimes this will work for the local guys where they pay a little bit more to have something that has that on it. And then the different display modes that it's going to offer you. So it's going to do a picture-in-picture mode where it's going to overlay the thermal on top of the RGB image. This will give you kind of a clear idea of exactly what you're looking at, but you could always do the full resolution or the full screen thermal, full screen RGB when flying. So, and then there's the 10 different color modes that are built into the controller. I'll say that I think the public safety guys really like the white hot and black hot, and it's kind of across the board for inspection of the kind of preference. And then with that 640T, so it's not going to be a FLIR made camera, a FLIR made thermal. It will be the same resolution thermal. So as I kind of said, you won't really tell a difference between the two cameras when used in real time. It's going to be the fact that if you take a photo with the 640T and try and use a thermal processing, a thermal analysis tool to analyze it, it will be able to analyze it based on the color scheme that's on the photo, but it's not going to give you a precise temperature reading on each pixel like it would with the 640T. But then same sort of the color modes and the display modes. So as I kind of said, it's really going to operate the exact same. And when people come and look at the two, I mean, you can't tell the difference between the two. It's really only going to be when in the post-processing side where you would be able to tell that one's radiometric and one's not. And then some of the intelligent software features. So one thing I will say is all of these, one thing we hear a lot about is DJI Enterprise drones do not allow you to use any of the consumer flight modes within the app. So typically you're not going to use a thermal drone to do the follow me type modes, but a lot of times you can use some of those modes to help you, you know, follow a subject or track a subject, or even do like the orbit or waypoint, all that. that's all going to be built into the intelligent smart modes. And then, as we kind of mentioned before, the 16 times digital zoom, the good data security, and then another feature that's kind of specific to Autel is the pre-record button. So if you turn on, there's a feature within the app that you would just enable the pre-record, and what that's going to do is if you were out, and I think that this will primarily be used in a public safety setting, where if you were out trying to track a subject or a person of interest, and you're looking around and you don't see him anywhere, and then all of a sudden he comes into frame and then he's gone, and you want to get that footage, then you can go ahead and hit record right when you see it, and it's gonna take the previous 30 seconds of what you weren't recording and add that to your video. So basically, it's always going to have a 30-second window.
So basically, if you weren't quick enough and somebody came running out of the building and ran off, and by the time you went to hit the record button, he's gone, you would still have him coming out of the building, even though you didn't hit the button, because it keeps doing those 30-second recordings and then keeps writing over it.
Right.
Well, and one of the things we talked about, the 42 minutes flight time, and people really liking that. And the smart controller is another thing that is really just a super class remote for this level drone. So this is a very big 7.9-inch screen. It's very bright. So on the DJI screens, on their built-in remotes, they're 1000 nit, and nit's just a measurement of brightness on a monitor. They're 1000 nit, and even the new DJI 30T, which has a very nice controller, it's still not as big as this one. And even though they took that one up to 1.2 nit, it's not quite near as bright. And this one is that 2000 nit. It's the brightest one on the market. And then it doesn't take an external battery, but it has a life of 4.5 hours, and then it charges really quick. And if you did have to go more than that 4.5 hours without charging, you could hook it up to a bank box and be able to charge it like you would a phone. And then it's a very fast processor. The temperature range goes from, I know they have it listed here in Celsius, but it goes from -4 to 104 as the working temperature for the drone and the remote and the battery. So it's a very very good range. And then it has, of course, all the different ports. Comes with a harness because it is a little bit heavier because of that huge battery. And then again, it gets that 8-mile range.
And one thing I'll point out is they do have the HDMI USB-C ports that are all on there. So you can do the streaming through the HDMI port. Now, one thing that we are asked about all the time is the flight deck or the live deck. That Autel had released with their version 1 aircrafts. That was a module that would receive the video. It's been unclear when and if this is coming. We've been told numerous times by Autel that it still is in the works. I know that they had a big problem with the chips to be able to get those products made, but we still have some hope to see it, but we're not totally counting on it. So right now, I think the best bet is to use the HDMI to do a streaming from the Autel Smart Controller. And then in the rugged cases here that you'll get included in the Enterprise bundle, it does come included with those 3 attachments: the speaker, spotlight, anti-collision light. It'll have a spot for the Smart Controller, and then we'll go through each individual package. But
well, and it holds 4 batteries, so it holds a lot of batteries. You have 1 in the aircraft and 3 separate batteries, and then it also holds the charger that'll charge 4 batteries. So this will be a very complete kit, and it's got wheels, and it's military spec as far as the toughness of the case.
For the waterproof and dustproof. Yep, and it has a little pull up, so you can use it as a suitcase to kind of wheel it around. So it's kind of a convenience on that one. And then for the Enterprise Pro package, this is what the bundle is going to include. One thing I will note is this bundle does not include a charging hub, as you'll see in some of the other ones. And And I'll also point out with the Autel side of things compared to DJI, the charging hubs will alternate. They'll do one battery at a time in sequential order based on which battery has the most charge, trying to top that off first, and then the second most, and so on and so forth. With the Autel, it's going to default to charging them all at the same time. Now, if you're charging them at the end of the day before you go to bed, not a big deal. You're not going to notice a difference. But if you are trying to get the batteries charged as fast as possible, we do find that when you do it all at the same time, it's going to be a lot longer than doing them individually. There is a third-party charger that we carry from Colorado Drone Chargers that is around, I want to say like $500. It is a very expensive battery charger, but it will charge 4 at the same time on a very fast charge. So with the batteries being around $219 each, sometimes it is best to actually just buy an expensive charger than to stock up on 6-7 batteries to be able to get through the day.
And the charging hub that comes with the other two kits, it will charge them all at one time, or you can press the button and then it will charge them one at a time and go in sequence. So you do have the 2 modes when you use the battery hub.
And some of the kind of the freebies that you get with the Enterprise, and this will be with all 3 packages, is the Pix4D React is really the big one. You get a 1-year free trial with that. So a lot of the public safety guys, that's going to be for 2D fast reconstruction for photogrammetry. So that's included with all of the Pro bundles, as well as the 2-week trial of SkyBrowse and 30-day trial of AirData. Now with the Dual R, this one will come included with that charging hub. You will also get the car charger, and outside of that, it's going to be essentially the same setup with the 3 total batteries, smart controller, the hard case, so on and so forth. And then same with the 640T bundle, it will also have that charging hub included, as well as that car charger, which those are the 2 things that are not included with the Pro bundle. But same sort of thing with the trials for the AirData, Pix4D React, SkyBrowse, and it does picture the RTK module in each of these bundles, but I just wanted to point out that does not come included in the bundle. That's something that is purchased separately. The 3 attachments are just the speaker, searchlight, and strobe that are included in the bundles. And then these are kind of the top different uses for these models. So as we've kind of been saying, public safety and firefighting definitely going to be huge, to be able to utilize the thermal camera to search for people, search for fire, find hot spots within that fire to guide your teams to the right place, and then search and rescue as well, obviously, when you have a missing person and you need to be able to pick up a heat signature. Now this will give you the location of the drone in real time, where you'd be able to utilize that to get to your teams to kind of guide them in. It doesn't give, so with like the M30T and M300, they'll have the laser rangefinder where you can actually tap on the subject and give you a very precise reading of that location. This, you'd actually use the drone as your GPS to tell you exactly where that is.
So you definitely would want to be directly over the people when you record the location.
Yep. And then for power inspections, it's definitely useful to have both the thermal or even just the 6K camera, which would give you the better digital zoom, where you would get a higher resolution RGB image when inspecting different components of power lines, solar panels, whatever the case.
Wind turbines.
Wind turbines, yep. And then traffic monitoring and management. So this could be used for the kind of like the mapping as well, with crime scene, accident reconstruction. They could also just be used to monitor crowds and traffic and kind of get an aerial view with the bigger camera. So that's pretty much the main uses that you would use these enterprise drones for.
And then what we did is we put the specifications into the PowerPoint, which we're not going to go through through them all. We talked about a lot of them, and a lot of them you can look at separately, but we put them into the program. So when you either download the webinar or if we email it out to you, you'll have all the specs for the aircraft on this page. And then the next page, we have the gimbal and accessories. Go ahead. And then you have a comparison of the three payloads that Ryan was talking about, which gives you, you can look at a glance and be able to see the different specifications. And then this final page, I'll let Ryan go over. It's just kind of a recap of what we've been talking about here, just in a short order.
Yeah, so the three payloads we went over, the EVO II Dual R, which does have the FLIR boson thermal camera built in, the EVO II Pro, which has the 6K 1-inch sensor, and the EVO II Dual 640T, which has the infrared thermal and the RGB camera. So for both the thermal options, the visible camera is going to be a 1/2-inch sensor that is capable of doing up to 8K video. And then with the EVO II Pro, 1-inch, 48 megapixel. And then the three attachments that are included being the speaker, spotlight, strobe, and then that RTK module being sold separately are going to be the options for the accessories. And then one of the big benefits of the enterprise package is that smart remote. I know Greg kind of talked about it, but that enterprise, the Autel smart remote, I will say, is absolutely game changing. That super bright display makes a huge difference when you're using this in real time. So for the public safety guys, search and rescue, live fire, this makes a huge difference because having the large bright display really gives you an idea of what's going on the ground. When you're using this for inspection and you're sending it out for missions and you're then analyzing the data later, I mean, it's definitely nice having the smart controller, but you're not really utilizing it in real time. Now, when you're using it for inspections in real time, it's going to highlight stuff very great. So having that bright display really separates this, in my opinion, from the Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced, which would be the competitor to this model. And then the key features on the aircraft or the Enterprise series is having the digital zoom, the 8-mile transmission. Now this is fully equipped with omnidirectional obstacle avoidance, which I will say I prefer the Autel EVO II obstacle avoidance over the Mavic 2 Enterprise obstacle avoidance. Just being able to pick up stuff a little bit better, and the side sensors not turning off when you go too fast. So that's kind of one of the big things there. And then we kind of talked about the different applications that you would use this platform for.
Well, great, Ryan. So let's take a look at some questions.
So looks like so for price on these, actually good news on that, there is a sale that actually just started or is just starting. Is that right? Is it
starts Monday?
Starts Monday. So on Monday, these packages will actually go on sale. So for the EVO II Pro, the regular price on that one starts at $2,625. It'll be down to $2,400. For the 640T Enterprise, it is standard at $9,660, and we have it down to $9,150. And then they are also on sale for the rugged bundle. So as Greg mentioned, the rugged bundles are going to have a slightly different aircraft. It's actually going to be the ones that you see in this image here, where they don't have the carbon fiber arms and they're not as long of arms, and the propellers aren't as long either. So you do lose a little bit of flight time, and you don't have the ability to do the top mount on it. And then the smart remote does not come included in the rugged bundles. You would have the standard remote that would plug into a phone or tablet. But for those, for the Pro package, whoops, I actually mixed those up. So for the Pro Enterprise, it's $4,462 on sale for $4,050. For the rugged bundle, standard price is $2,625 and on sale for $2,400. And then for the rugged bundle on the 640T, so again, no smart controller and standard aircraft, then the Regular price for that is $7,770, on sale for $7,250. So it ranges between $225 and $510 for your savings on that.
And someone wanted you to mention, he says you really didn't go over those FLIR tools on that one slide that come with it. Comes with the.
Yeah, so the FLIR tools would be used to analyze the images from the 640R, and that's going to be software made directly from FLIR. And you know, we were hoping to have some examples in here of the FLIR tools in use, although we ran into some issues with our 640R this week when updating it. So we were unable to actually do a test on that to show you some examples. But if you do want to reach out to either of us, our emails are there listed at the bottom left, we can definitely get you some sample data on that for you to try out yourself or answer any questions. It looks like we have a question here. Can the standard EVO II controller connect to the Enterprise as a second controller? Yes, you can do the standard controller to connect to the second controller. Now it does need a V2 standard remote and
the V2
and the V2 aircraft, but that's all we sell at this point. And that would be something I have to look into in terms of if we can get that alone. We don't typically sell the standard controller by itself. Now what you could potentially do is get the rugged bundle, and that would come with the standard controller, and then we do sell the smart controller separately. So both of those are compatible with that aircraft. They just don't have one sold by, or we don't stock the standard by itself, but we can definitely look.
Yeah, we can get it as a part.
Yep. I think thought I saw another one. I saw something about remote ID. So remote ID it'll definitely need to have remote ID once that goes into effect. We're about, I think, like 2 months away from the manufacturers having to come out with their plans for integrating remote ID onto these aircrafts. As of right now, we don't know. I can't really tell you exactly what's going to happen with the remote ID because.
Well, both Autel and DJI have initially told us that it's just going to be firmware updates, you know, next September when it actually has to roll out, a year from this September.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see if we can get some more specifications.
Yeah. So when I say we're about a month or two out, that's for the manufacturers to actually come out with a plan, and then you as the user will have another 12 months to actually get it up to standard for that. But yeah, as Greg said, we expect it to be something as basic as a firmware update. So for some of the older models, you might have to retrofit it in some way. But thing is Autel and DJI have known about this for years now, so I would be absolutely shocked if they hadn't been planning for this all along.
Can you check the questions one more time?
Yep.
Oh, okay, that's the one you just answered.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, well, that's all the questions we have. We really appreciate you guys coming in.
Current lead time on
got one more.
640T Enterprise. So lead time, we keep these in stock. So it's very rare that we don't have any of these models in stock, and if we don't, it would be no more than what, a week at most, week and a half to get them in. So so yeah, that's definitely not something of concern.
Okay, well, we appreciate you coming and joining our webinar. Be sure and hit our website and our YouTube channel. This will be up there, and we'll also be sending out a link for everybody. So we appreciate it, and when you have future needs, we would appreciate it if you try us and give us a call. Thank you, and have a good weekend.